If there has ever been a time, past, present, or future, where I talk about movies or I rank movies or whatever it might be, and it seems like the popular movies are like really low on the list or the unpopular ones are really high on the list, I swear it's nothing personal. It's just like whatever the ranking is, that's just my opinion on it. But if you're ever curious as to where all that started, I think I might have an answer. So let's jump into it. So, for a little bit of context, growing up, I watched quite a few movies, and there was one thing that stood out on the DVD shelf when I was growing up, and that was this, the complete collection of the Home Alone movies, which at the time there were only four of them. So yeah, this was all four of the movies, and I had this, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I'm one of those people to where I can watch this movie outside of Christmas time. Okay, like the people that watch like horror movies outside of October, I can watch Christmas movies outside of December. Okay, and to me, like you can watch these any time. So I would just throw these on whenever I wanted. And so we had this first one here with Home Alone and Home Alone 2. And if you ask anyone, almost anyone, the people would say of these are the best ones. And this one in particular, the first one, that's the best one, hands down, no questions asked. Okay. Well, I have to be completely honest with you guys. The first time that I saw this Home Alone movie, the first one, I didn't get into it at all. Okay, my first time watching it, one of the main things, well, there were two main reasons. One was just the huge family and the big house and all of that. I came from a very small family, okay, where social gatherings were very small, very simple, very straightforward. And so having this huge house full of people bustling around and them forgetting one of the kids just because he was a jerk, I couldn't find that realistic. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. How could they not know that Kevin wasn't there? Okay. So there was that, but there was another element to it. And with me being a little kid watching that movie, the scene where Kevin goes down to the basement and there's the furnace and the furnace does what it does. That terrified me when I was a kid. Okay. And I know what you're thinking of, oh, if that scared you, why don't you just skip over that? Well, I never thought to do that when I was a kid. Okay. I never thought that you could just skip through parts you don't like in movies. I thought it was a thing of if you put it in, you have to watch it all the way through. And so with watching the first Home Alone movie, I didn't want to do that. I was like, no, this I don't like this movie at all. It's scary and I just don't get into it. Okay, so yeah, like I said, my opinion has changed on it now, but back then I was like, I don't like this movie at all. So there we go. This out of the Home Alone movies, this one's probably the one that I've honestly seen the least. Well, that's not true. Home Sweet Home Alone would take that, but out of the original four, I'd say that this is the one I've seen the least. Then with Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, this one's the one that I've probably seen the most out of all of them, and I'll explain why later. But I thought this one was cool. I like the New York setting. I like the abandoned house and all of that, and that was cool. So yeah, I liked Home Alone 2 enough. Like I said, it's the one that I've seen the most, and I'll explain why later. But what happened was there were two other movies that were included in this collection. Okay, and Home Alone, Taking Back the House. I completely agree. If you say that that's the worst one, I will not disagree with you at all. This movie is so messed up. It's so off the mark, but not in a fun way. It's just a bad movie, okay? So any of you that say that this movie's terrible, I agree. I do have a soft spot for it because it was the first direct to video movie that I saw, so I could tell there was something different about it. I couldn't tell what it was, so it is cool. Like I could watch it, but if you say it's the worst one, I will absolutely not disagree with you. Now, there's another movie that's on here, Home Alone 3. And the first time that I watched this movie, I was like, this one's the best one out there. Okay, I thought that the smaller family dynamic, I found that to be way more realistic. Because, like I said, growing up, I was part of a small family. So they're just being a kid and then his older brother and sister. I was like, that makes sense. I completely buy that. And then the parents, they're not going on a vacation. They're just off at work. I was like, I buy into that too. and and his older siblings are at school, and he's got the chicken pox, so he can't go to school. I was like, that makes sense for him to be home alone, and him just spying on people in the neighborhood and all of that, and he sees these four criminals. Okay, there are four of them this time. There aren't just two, and they're all different. And I thought they were all fun in their own way. Um, and so I was like, that's really interesting. And then how he booby traps the house and he has all of the stuff set up and all of that. I thought that was so cool. And so Home Alone 3, I thought was super cool. Okay, I watched Home Alone 3 a lot growing up, and I was like, this is the best one. And then I started watching YouTube videos of people talking about films. I've always watched YouTube videos, but it wasn't until I was older when I started watching videos specifically on like film commentary and stuff like that, if you would call it that. Basically, just simple, straightforward reviews. And there was a popular consensus regarding the Home Alone movies, and I was like, oh yeah, all of them are pretty solid. And what I kept hearing over and over again is that these are the only ones worth considering. This is one of the best movies ever made. This one's not as good as the first one, but it's way better than all the rest of them. And I heard a lot of criticism levied against these two. And like I said, I understand the criticism for this one, but so much negativity was around Home Alone 3, and I just could not get it. I couldn't understand it at all, okay? So I just heard these people saying that Home Alone 3 is terrible because it's absolutely nothing like the other movies, and they tried to do something different and they failed, and everything sucks about the movie. And I was just blown away. I was like, how can you hate this movie? It's so fun, it's so unique, and all of that. And so the reason why I've watched Home Alone 2 more, I already said, I had my reasons for avoiding the first one. It scared me. But with Home Alone 2, I was like, okay, maybe I'm just reading something wrong and I have to watch Home Alone 2. So I watched Home Alone 2 again and again and again and again growing up. I was like, I have to like this more because that's the correct answer. And I was like teaching myself of, I have to like this movie more. I have to like this movie more. And so I've watched Home Alone 2 more times than I can count. Okay, I watched it over and over and over again throughout the years. And I just kept coming to the same conclusion of, it's cool, but if I had to pick a favorite, I'd have to go with Home Alone 3. And I was like, I'm sorry if that's an incorrect answer. And for a while, I tried to hide that fact when people would talk about Home Alone. It's like, oh yeah, those are cool movies. And I would just, if someone asked me my opinion on the Home Alone movies, I'd be quiet about it. I'd be like, I can't answer that. So yeah, there was that, because I was just so afraid of, if I say that I like Home Alone 3, everybody's gonna hate me. And I was just so worried about that. So it's been a while since then. I've grown up, I've matured, and I've learned that having different opinions is totally fine. Okay? So the fact that I can call Home Alone 3 my favorite out of the Home Alone movies, I will stand by that. And like I said, I totally get it. Okay? If your favorite is the original, I get it. If your favorite is the second one, I get it. Okay? I've seen the movie a million times. Okay? I get it. So yeah, if you like those, totally get it. Okay, Macaulay Culkin is a really good child actor, and what they did with Harry and Marv and all that—that's really cool. But for me, if I absolutely had to pick one and just one Home Alone movie, I'd go with the third one. I really would, honestly. And like I said, I'm not ashamed to say that anymore. I used to be. I used to be like, I can't say that because that's the incorrect answer. But I will stand by it now, and I like Home Alone 3. And if you say of like, oh, that movie sucks, I would recommend just give it one more watch through. Like, if you still hate it by the end, that's totally fine. I respect that. I get that. I'm not saying that you have to change your opinion on a movie because I like it, or vice versa. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that some people take things way too seriously and all of that. So there we go. That was my first major experience with having a different taste in movies. The second one is regarding The Dark Knight. And yes, when I hold this up, I'm sure there's going to be someone that's going to be like, oh my goodness, that is the best superhero movie ever made. It's the best comic book movie ever. It's the best Batman movie ever, and all of that. And, well, let me share my experience with the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, and specifically this movie, okay? Let me paint you a picture, okay? I'm about 10 years old, Okay, this was a while ago. I'm about 10 years old, and my family is on a quick little vacation down to go see some family. Okay, we're on a little vacation, and we're in a hotel, and we were spending the night. And I'm flipping through the TV channels. I'm like, what's on TV for tonight? I want to watch something. And one of the things that I saw was the scene of Batman, and I was like, oh, cool! There's a Batman movie. Let's check it out. And I was like, I have no idea what movie this is. Let's see what it is. So I saw Batman, and I was like, cool, it's a superhero movie. I like Batman. Let's check it out. And what I saw was I saw Two-Face dead on the ground, and Batman and Commissioner Gordon looking at it, and Batman saying, "You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain." And Batman and Gordon come to this realization of, here's what we have to do. We have to call Two-Face the good guy. We have to let the people believe that Two-Face was a good guy. And we have to let the people believe that Batman is the bad guy. And Batman has to go into hiding. And he can't be Batman anymore. He's now a criminal. And I was like, what was that? I was so confused. I was like, is this like some fan-made thing? Like, is this an actual movie? Like, did someone actually make this? Or is this just a dream? I was so confused. And I found out later that, oh no, that's the ending to The Dark Knight. And I was like, okay, so is The Dark Knight like one of the worst Batman movies ever or something? I was like, I couldn't wrap my brain around that. And yet everyone was like, oh no, that's the best one ever. And I was so confused of, what? How is that the best Batman movie ever? And I did not want to watch this movie in its entirety for several years. Okay, I had a friend who lived pretty close to my house. He was a fan of the Christian Bale Batman movies, and I couldn't get it. Okay, I'd never seen any of them. My only personal experience was watching the ending of The Dark Knight, and that drove me away from it. I was like, if this is considered the best Batman movie ever, I don't know if I want to see the rest of that movie or either of the other ones. And it took a while, and a few years later, I did eventually go around to checking out the Christian Bale Batman trilogy. And I will say, I do really like Batman Begins. I think Batman Begins is really cool. Dark Knight Rises, I know the Dark Knight Rises is kind of a contentious one. Some people really like it, some people don't like it. I don't really care for it all too much, but The Dark Knight, this is a movie that, because of my experience with it, of watching the ending and not understanding anything about the previous story, I didn't know anything leading up to it. I didn't know Joker was in it. I didn't know that there was going to be this huge moral test in the movie. I didn't know about any of that. All I knew was it ends with Two-Face dying and him being portrayed as the hero and Batman being portrayed as the villain. I was like, this is not a superhero movie at all, because there's nothing heroic about it. We're lying and we're saying that the bad guy was the good guy and we're making the good guy the bad guy. I was so confused. I was like, how is this the best superhero movie ever? So when I eventually got around to watching The Dark Knight, I was like, okay, the ending makes a lot more sense now. Okay? Now, it's still not the direction that I particularly would have chosen, but it does make sense given the universe, so I'll give it that. It's just, like I said, it's not what I would have done. It certainly isn't what I would have done at 10 years old watching the end of the movie, okay? So, I have heard so many people say that, oh my goodness, The Dark Knight is the best superhero movie ever made. It's easily the best Batman movie and all of that, and objectively, I can understand some of their things because there's a lot to like about this movie, okay? Let's be honest here. Heath Ledger's performance as Joker, that's really good. The practical effects and, like, you know, all of the stuff with that, with, like, them actually blowing up a building and, like, Batman, like, taking Joker's truck and, like, flipping it upside down and all that. That was all really cool, okay? There's a lot to like about the movie, but me personally, if you were to ask me of, is this the best Batman movie ever? Personally, subjectively, I would have to say no, just because I can't get past my personal experience with watching this movie. Okay, watching the end of it, I was so confused. I was so weirded out by that I was like, this is the best superhero movie ever made? I don't see that. Like I said, I can kind of understand a point now after seeing the movie in its entirety and all of that. Yeah, so that's my experience with that. And so like I said earlier, I'm not making this video to say of I'm right and you're wrong and whatever. You have to believe everything that I believe. I'm not saying that. Okay? I'm here because we're talking about things that are subjective, okay? People One person can say this is my favorite movie ever made, another person can say this is my least favorite movie ever made. Are either of those people completely right or completely wrong? I don't think so. I think when it comes to stuff like this, we can have our own opinions and we can be honest and say, hey, I actually liked that one or I actually didn't like that one. Like me with Home Alone 3, okay? I was genuinely terrified for a while growing up of like, I'm not allowed to say that I like Home Alone 3 because that's the wrong answer. According to who? Okay, so like I'm making this video to prove of like you don't have to be a jerk about different opinions. Like, yes, if someone says something that you completely disagree with, I'm not saying that you just have to be like, oh, cool, yay. Like, you can have your own opinions on that. Just don't bash someone else's. Okay, that's what I'm really getting at. Okay, I'm not trying to prove a point and be like, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm not trying to say you're right and I'm wrong. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying we have our own experiences, our own preferences, and for me, I think this is where it started. And yeah, so I don't know who this video was for. I just decided let's make it because I have something to say. But yeah, if this video was encouraging, helpful, whatever it might be, if uh, if it made you look at this movie a little bit differently, if you consider that you watch the ending before anything else, whatever it might be, you can definitely leave a like. You can let me know in the comments what you think. If you want to see more content like this, you can subscribe, check out some of my other stuff, stay tuned for future stuff. But other than all of that, I do hope that you enjoyed. I hope they'll see you all later. Goodbye.